Okay. Okay, for those that watch the replay, good morning, good morning. I've been talking for a few minutes and it wasn't recording, but now it is. Okay, so as I was saying that I have set thousands of goals. I've not only set goals for myself, but I have set goals. I've been a therapist for almost 30 years now, and I've been setting goals for patients. I've been setting goals for clients, and I say setting goals, helping different people set goals. And in high school, I had a goal to go to OU. Most would have called it a dream because many people told me it was impossible to do that. But I didn't let impossible stop me. And I hope that if you have a goal or a dream that feels impossible, you don't let that stop you, because really impossible, if you split it, is just I'm possible. Okay. And we are so capable of doing more than we think. Okay. This brain wants to take all of our experiences that we have never accomplished something and use it to compare on what we really are capable of doing. And so often we think that others are capable of doing certain things, but not us. Y'all, if somebody else can do it, you can do it too. Okay. So I did what it took to get accepted to OU. It wasn't like, it just happens. When you have a goal, you have to put the actions in, right? There's a thought, I want to go. There were emotions behind that. Like, don't tell me I can't go to OU was one of them, which brought feelings. And then my actions were, I did the hard things. Like, this is before internet, y'all. I had to do all the paperwork to get the scholarships, to get the grants, to get the things and the work study. But I also had to take a step of faith. Like, when I get there, everything's going to be okay. I can do this. Okay. And then when I was at OU, I had a goal of becoming a physical therapist. And again, I was told my chances were low and to have a plan B. And y'all, all I had was a plan G, because God called me to be a physical therapist. I had always wanted to be a doctor. He helped me change my route. And I'm like, I don't have a plan B. This is what God's told me to do. This is what I'm going to do. And so with lots of prayer, I told you I'm emotional. So just take a moment. I was accepted into a program that very few made it into. But this really was just the beginning of me setting goals and reaching them. And I want y'all to know that if you do not have a goal, chances of reaching it are going to be very, very small. Okay. So my last year of PT school, I was doing a rotation at a long-term rehab center that doesn't even exist anymore in Oklahoma City. But one of the things I learned early on is that if you wanted a patient to reach a goal, it had to be a goal they wanted to reach. It cannot be somebody else's goals. Okay. It has to be a goal that inspired them or motivated them to act. And we've talked about actions this week, and we've talked about motivation, and we've talked about inspiration. But here's the thing. If you just set a goal, I want to lose 20 pounds, even if you write it down, but you are not inspired and motivated to make that happen, you're not going to put the work into it. You're not going to put the actions, and it's not going to happen. Okay. So, I was given a patient that was a man that was in his 40s or 50s, y'all. I don't know exactly how old he was. I was 22 and my parents were very young. I just know he was older than they were. And I wish I remembered his name. The Lord has given me everything except for the memory of his name. I could probably find it on a videotape because we videotaped some things, but you're not supposed to use people's names for patients of yours. So I really in the beginning was this man is the no-name man, but he was an Oklahoma City motorcycle policeman. And his injury actually wasn't during work. He was on vacation in Florida riding a motorcycle when a semi ran over him. And that's not a good situation to be in. And he was a paraplegic, which meant that he couldn't feel anything below his waist. And when I started seeing him, and y'all, from the beginning, he was told he would never walk again, which is very important to know. Okay. I mean, the first thing he remembers is you were hit by a semi and you'll never walk again. And I want to say it was probably around 6 months after his accident when I started seeing him. I don't remember like exactly the time period, but he had been in Florida for months and months to heal from all the broken bones. I mean, pretty much every bone in his body had been broken. And then he had to be safe to transport to Oklahoma City, which is where he was from, to be in this facility I was in. And he had been there for at least 6 weeks before I started working with him. So I'm putting 4 to 6 months is how long since his accident. No longer did he have bruises and, all that, no broken bones anymore. All that had healed. But when I was given this patient, I was told that my main goal, was to get him to attend his physical therapy sessions, or he was going to be discharged. Because if you didn't do therapy when you're in rehab, you couldn't stay at the facility. Okay. So my clinical instructor pretty much told me, your goal is just to make sure to get him into the physical therapy department. I don't care what you do with him, just get him in there or he's going to be kicked out. Okay. So yes, as therapists, we're given goals. Doctors tell us what we need to do. And we're given prescriptions, like we have goals, but I knew to get him to therapy, I needed to know his goal, what he wanted, what would inspire and motivate him to come to 1 to 2 therapy sessions with me a day. Okay. So they had physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And there was a certain time period that they had to be in therapy for 3 hours a day. So sometimes that could be split up into 30-minute sessions, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Well, with this man, getting him to 1 session was like a miracle. And so for me, I pretty much knew that I was going to have him for an hour. Like I wanted that whole hour, so I didn't need to get him in a second time, right? To get that hour in. Now, my clinical instructor had been working with this guy for 6 weeks, at least. And he was pretty tired of all of his excuses. And as an older, more jaded therapist, he didn't have a lot of patience or hope for this man. Okay. I was 22 and I was new to all of this, and I was pretty gung-ho. Okay. So this paraplegic told me his only goal was to walk again. And if he couldn't walk, he'd rather die. Okay. So I'm 22 years old, sitting by this guy in a wheelchair, and that's what he tells me. So I was kind of like, wow, I have my hands full, like they said, right? What do you do with that? Now, as I said, as therapists have goals that we have to accomplish with our patients, but I was also a student and I had papers my clinical instructor had to sign for me to graduate. Okay. So as much as I wanted to help this man, I needed to graduate from PT school too, right? And so there was a lot of goals going on here. Just want you to be aware that sometimes we have one goal, but sometimes that one goal has like all these other goals around it to make that one goal happen. Does that make sense? Like we can use weight loss. I have a goal of losing 20 pounds, but just having that goal, like, what's that mean? Right? What other goals may be a part of that? And those goals might change every week. Okay. To get you to that other goal. So I asked the patient, can you stand? And he laughed at me. And he said, did you read my medical chart? I'm a paraplegic. I told him I read it. I also repeated to him what he told me. I said, you told me that you wanted to walk. And I said, before you can walk, you have to be able to crawl and you have to be able to stand. And yes, we have grown adults in crawling positions to prepare them to be able to walk again. Okay, specifically with patients that have had strokes, which have lost part of their body. The difference between someone that's had a stroke and a paraplegic is supposedly this guy had a completed sever in his spinal cord that was going to prevent him from ever being able to feel or move his legs again. Someone with a stroke, it happens in the head, and there's just a disconnect to that body part. But still, I'd learned enough in school that if you want to be able to walk again, you need to crawl and you need to be able to stand. Okay. So he thought I was funny. And I just said, if you want to be able to walk again, that's where we have to start. And you have to come to therapy to do those things. And he said that wasn't good enough for him. A goal of standing was not good enough for him. He said, if you want me to come to therapy, I want a goal to walk. My goal that I was given was get this patient to the therapy department no matter what, right? So we compromised, and I set a goal, and they had on their charts, like they would have in their room kind of like their goals and stuff that they're working towards. So I had to write something down on there, plus in my charts, so that the place is getting paid and all the things. So we set a goal that he would walk with maximum support 100 feet in 6 weeks. Maximum support means either the therapist is doing all the support or there's a device. But the word walk was in it. That's what he agreed to. Okay. Now, y'all, I got some flack for that because I'm putting in a chart that a man that's a paraplegic is going to walk 100 feet in 6 weeks. Even with maximal support, that's either me doing it for him or, like I said, a device. But this man needed hope. And if he couldn't stand, he wasn't going to be able to leave and not go to like a nursing home in his 40s or 50s. He needed to be able to get from the bed to his chair independently because he was a single man with a home, had lived on his own prior to this accident. So sometimes we need a goal that gives us hope, even if it seems to be an impossible goal. So that is one type of goal, y'all, okay? This man showed up for PT every day. He did not show up for OT or speech every day. We had to have some talks because they were going to kick him out if he didn't. And I didn't want that for him. But I also started working with the occupational therapist and the speech therapist to get extra time with him for some of the things I'm going to tell you in just a minute. This was actually the hardest work I've ever done in my whole life, physically, as much as just emotionally helping this man. But it was, I mean, my husband came and we videotaped what we were doing because it was time consuming and it was a lot of work. But there were these air compression stockings that we would put on both of his legs, and then we'd use the stander. He could use his arms, so he could use his arms to help him stand. And then I would blow into these air compression stockings because it was before they had things that you just push a button like they do today and it does it for you. I blow into it because if you don't have any muscle mass, like your knees just collapse. So even though he might be holding here, his knees would collapse. So it would help to stabilize his legs. And then I would get on the floor and lift one foot up and then the other for him to move while he was on this big standing device that was keeping him as safe as we possibly could. I was walking for him. Okay. Sometimes we need some support of somebody else taking the steps for us or the steps before us. Okay. Y'all, it took us weeks and weeks just to get to the point of walking about 5 feet. Okay. Now, how we got away with this goal and doing this, because everyone thought we were crazy and we were wasting our time, is that when you're a paraplegic, standing helps increase circulation, so you're less likely to get sores. Okay. So the walking part was for him to keep him motivated. The standing part and the compression on his legs was to increase the circulation so that he would stay healthy. Okay. It also helps with blood pressure. But y'all, I'm telling you, this was a big, that hour that we spent together, I was worn out and he was worn out every day. Okay. But after a few weeks, he began having feeling in his legs. And I remember the doctor saying that it's just all in his head. It's what they call phantom. Even people that have amputations sometimes will feel their leg itching or something and it's not there. But we kept on doing it. Because when this man said he could feel his legs, let me tell you, he was at every therapy session there was available for him and extra. Because he had a goal that was impossible to walk again. So a few weeks after that, he started having some movement in his legs. And I got to stay there for only 6 weeks and I had to move on. But I got a call right after I graduated that he was discharging and that they wanted me to come up for his discharge party. So I went up there and the guy walked to me with a cane. And he gave me a box with these earrings in it. And he said, "Thank you for believing in me and setting an impossible goal that nobody believed I could reach." Now, of course, at this time, the doctors are now saying that he wasn't a complete paraplegic. It had to have been an incomplete. They didn't read the things right, all the things. And does it even matter? Was it a miracle or was it incomplete? Because the truth of the matter is that if I had not given him the chance to have on his board the goal of walking, chances are he would not have come to therapy. And if he hadn't come to therapy, he would have been laying in his bed and probably put into a nursing home. Y'all, sometimes it's not the person, it's not you, it's your goal. Okay. He didn't have the desire, the motivation, the inspiration to just stand. And that's the goals everybody else was giving him. His doctor, his therapist was get to the bed to the wheelchair, the bed to the wheelchair, be able to do it, what we call a sit to stand, get from the bed to the wheelchair, the bed to the toilet, which he really didn't need to be on the toilet because all that was being taken care of at that time. But it took a goal that inspired and motivated him to take the steps and the actions that he needed. So all the things that we've been talking about this week has led us to this place right here. Okay. If you have had a goal before that you have again, how many of us every year have the same goal? Right? I know there's a few of you on here because I've been working with you for a while, right? If you have the same goal and it does not inspire and motivate you every day, you're not going to do the work. You're just not. Now, some people call the perfect goal the Goldilocks goal. Okay, so we have the impossible goal, the one that gives us hope, and then we have the Goldilocks goal. You know, this is the one that it's just easy enough that you can reach it. Okay, but it's challenging enough that you're motivated to put the work in to reach it. Okay. This is kind of like Louisa that I had met. She gave herself a goal that was reachable because she had done it before. She had lost 20 pounds before. And then she put a challenge onto that of maintaining it, which she had never done. Okay. It's a Goldilocks goal. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Okay. You know that you have set the right goal when you reach it. We just don't always know when we're setting it that it's the right goal because we don't always reach it. So if you set a goal and you're not motivated, and don't keep that goal, find a new one, right? Something that's going to inspire and motivate you. Okay. Then there's the life or death goal or the fear goal. Okay. And we talked about fear-based motivation on Tuesday. Here's the thing. Often doctors will put fear-based goals on their patients. If you don't do this, right, this is what's going to happen. And one thing that I found is if the doctor or the therapist sets the fear goal, then the patient's most likely not going to meet the goal. Okay. But if the patient sets that goal, different story. So when I worked in a long-term care facility, it was attached to a nursing home. Okay. And a lot of my patients did not want to do PT. Just like the man at the rehab center, that was nothing new for me, y'all. It was a daily, every patient type thing. And if you don't do therapy, you're discharged. But in the case of the majority of these patients, if they didn't reach their goal, they were going to be going to the nursing home next door. That was kind of how the nursing home filled its spot, was the long-term care facility. If you can't make it out of the long-term care facility, that's your next step. Okay. So a lot of times I had to find their biggest fear. Because we talked about what's our motivation. A lot of times fear is our biggest motivator to get us moving, especially in the beginning. It may not hold for a long period of time, but a lot of times it's what starts the whole process. So if I could figure out what their biggest fear was and help them set a goal that they were inspired and motivated to meet, okay, then they can meet that goal. I'm going to be honest, a wheelchair push through the nursing home usually was motivation enough for them. Okay. We would often, they would say they didn't want to do therapy. If they were in a chair, I'd say, well, let's just take a little stroll through the hospital. And we'd get to the end and I'd go, oh, let's go into the nursing home and see what's going on in there. And I didn't have to tell them this is where you're going next. They already knew that, y'all, right? They'd already been told by their doctors or their family. And the first thing they would say is, I'm never coming here. And I'd be like, well, what do you have to do to go home? And they would start telling me, or if they didn't know, they were like, oh, some would just say, oh, I can go home right now. I'm like, well, can you get up out of the wheelchair by yourself? Well, I could if they would let me. Okay. How did you get in the wheelchair? Well, I fell at home, right? So we would have this conversation. Sometimes we'd have the conversation with the doctor and with the family. And y'all, a lot of times the family would just say something like, if dad can just get from his bed to the bathroom by himself while I'm at work, he can come home. So we would set the smallest goal, like be able to walk from the bed to the bathroom. Okay. 20 or 30 feet, whatever the family would say it was. What motivates you? What is it that you want to be able to do that maybe you can't do right now? And I know I'm using extremes with these people, but sometimes it takes extreme thought processes to figure out, because if what we're doing right now is not working and we continue to try and do the same thing over and over, you already know what that means, right? My online friend, Louisa, that I talked about, she was given a life or death goal. If she didn't lose weight and keep it off, y'all, I told you she had lost weight over and over and over, but they told her that she was going to die. It motivated her to set her goal of 20 pounds and maintain it for a year. Because her doctor said, if you could just lose 20 pounds and maintain it, that's going to make some change. So she already knew that she could lose it. She just had to maintain it. Okay. And instead of constantly being disappointed after losing 20 pounds and then plateauing, how many of you have lost weight and then you plateau and then you go back to doing what you used to do? Because obviously what you're doing isn't working anymore, but what you did was working because it got you to where you were, right? And so the thing about a plateau is sometimes your body just needs to get used to those changes, right? That plateau could also be called maintenance, right? And that's how she had to change her mindset. Instead of plateauing, no longer is she losing weight. She was now maintaining her weight, doing the same thing she was doing. John McMahon, the man I shared with you, his Thrive document, I can't ever say that word, whatever, had a life or death goal. He'd already had a heart attack. He had infections in his feet from getting them burnt. If he didn't make new lifestyle habits, he was going to die young. Okay. He shares that in the story. So goals can look many different ways. Okay. It can also be going, I'm going to accomplish this by a certain date. Okay. So example, last year I had a goal to hike a certain amount of time with a good attitude. Okay. Let me be clear on that. Wasn't just I can do the physical part. I can hold it together emotionally while doing it. Okay. And there again was a lot of action pieces involved in getting myself ready to reach that goal. And I accomplished that goal last year, but I had to set the goal, right? I had done some hiking before with my family on our vacations, and I didn't emotionally handle it well, that they really didn't want to necessarily go hiking with me. I don't know that I wanted to go hiking with them, but I did. I wanted to go and see these places because I do enjoy hiking until it gets too hard. I like to breathe. It's one of those things I enjoy doing. And so when it gets hard, it's not so enjoyable. But part of it was I was always trying to keep up with everybody else because we don't want to fall behind, right? And so I physically wasn't able to keep up with my son at the time, I think was 14, right? My 14-year-old, or the year before that, 13 or 12 or whatever else. And so I would get upset with myself. So I had to learn patience, right? That was something I had to work on. Be patient with myself. What is my timeline? Y'all, when I said on our hike, I have all day long to do this hike. I have all day. We're on vacation, y'all. How many times do we think we have to hurry up and do something? Put a timeline on it, right? If weight is something, yes, setting a weight and we want to have some time on it so that we have direction that we're going. But if we don't meet it by that certain time, is it so bad that it takes you 2 extra weeks to lose 2 more pounds instead of giving up or not starting at all? I had so much fun on my hikes because there was other people just like me on the hikes. So I'd be walking and they would be stopped and they would be like, do you know how much farther it is? And I'm like, no, but I know I've got all day long. And they'd be like, huh, good point. We would see how tall it is and how much work it's going to be. And they'd be like, I just don't know if I can do it. And I said, I'm just taking one step at a time. When my attitude changed about what that needed to look like for me to actually meet my goal, I was able to meet my goal. But my attitude had to change. My mindset had to change. And that took some work. There's also the habit or exercise goal. Okay. Like I'm going to do these things so many times a week to be a healthier me. Okay. The goal is really to be healthy, but you're putting your actions in there. I did this one last year too. I had 5 things I did 5 days a week for 10 weeks. Okay. In our Exceptional Health Masterclass, we call this our bingo card. All right. But those were 5 things that I felt were really important and I wanted to do them. And so that was my goal. My goal was to get 10 blackout bingos. Okay. So it wasn't necessarily a weight loss goal. It wasn't necessarily an experience goal like a hike, but it was something specific. Yesterday, Christina said she wanted to start strength training 3 times a week. Okay. She could have a goal that she's going to do strength training 3 times a week for 10 weeks. Okay, that could be a goal. She could also do a goal of being able to lift a specific amount by a specific time. So maybe in 10 weeks, she wants to be able to lift 20 pounds 20 times or something like that, right? My goal is to improve my skeletal muscle percentage. And to do that, I'm going to need to eat more protein and do more strength training. But my goal itself is going to be a skeletal muscle percentage. Okay. My actions, these different things I'm going to do, are going to help me. So that's when I say, like, we can have a goal and there can be goals around that. Now, I know that this week, a lot of you have said that you want to lose weight. Okay. And I also know that getting on the scale and seeing that number going down can be motivating, and it can also be demotivating, right? From day to day. So as you begin to think about your goal you want to set, I want you to really think about all the things that we talked about this week. What motivates you? Okay. If your goal doesn't motivate you, it is not the right goal for you. Are you motivated to reach this goal? Motivation is that force, either inside or outside, that causes action. What inspires you? Does this goal light your fire? Okay. Y'all, me having a goal to be metabolically younger than my scale is showing right now is a fire underneath me right now. In a couple of weeks, it might not be. Okay. And I might need to change my goal because I'm thinking at this rate, in about 5 weeks, I'm going to reach that goal. Okay. But there's other things I want to happen too. So if I stop what I'm doing in 5 weeks just because I'm at that goal, guess what? That number is going to go up again. Right. So I might have to change what inspires and motivates me as I go. Ask yourself, is the goal that you're setting going to lead you to the transformation you desire? That first man I was talking about, y'all, standing was not a goal that led to the transformation he desired, because his desire was to walk. And here's the thing, all that was going through my head, y'all, I didn't necessarily believe this guy was going to be able to walk again. What I knew is that the things it was going to take for him to walk again were the things that was going to take for him to get out of that place and into his home. So if the things that we could do, the actions we could do, could get him one step closer to home by having kind of the carrot be walking, then it was worth it. He just happened to be able to walk again through the process. Sometimes we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but setting that goal is that carrot, what helps lead us in that direction, closer to where it is we want to go for our transformation. Will this goal, this is an important one, y'all, ready? Will this goal help you to build new habits, or once you reach this goal, will you return to your old habits? Because if this goal is only going to help you get to that place and you're going to go right back to the old habits, okay? You don't want to be like me in the past, because I'm going to say this is the past. You think once I lose the weight, then I can have sweets again, right? Then you start having the sweets and desserts again and the weight comes back. So weight hasn't necessarily worked in my favor, right? As being it, I need the habit to change, the desire for sugar to be released. Long-lasting transformation occurs when you make long-lasting habit changes. So if you're not building a habit that you're willing to continue doing, it might not be the right habit and it might not be the right goal. Now, sometimes we need to do things short-term. So setting a short-term goal that's going to help get us to a place that we can go to a new short-term goal to help us get to another place, which then leads us to another place. So not all goals, okay, have to be new habits, but for it to be long lasting, it does help. This next week, when I can get my Calendly figured out, because right now it will let me change any date starting the following week in February, but will not let me change anything in January. I don't know what's locked, so I'm going to get in there, but I'm going to open up my calendar for anybody that is part of this Fill My Cup. So if you're watching the video right now, if you are here live right now, if you're getting the emails, all right, this is available to you for the openings that I will have. But I'm going to do 1 hour coaching sessions to help you figure out your goal, either for the year, for the next 3 months, for the next 3 weeks, whatever you want to do. We're going to spend that time. This is $100 value, so I would take it up on it because it's only for this week. Okay, after that, that calendar won't be open for the free, because my desire really is to help each and every one of you to reach your goals in 2022. I want you to have a transformation. That is my desire for you, just as much as it was for that man to get to therapy. The initial goal that I was given for him was to make sure he got to therapy, and doing everything that I could to help support him do that, even get on my hands and knees and move his feet, which he was a big guy, y'all. He wasn't like heavy, but he was 6+ size. He was, I had to buy some lunches for some techs to help me some days to have extra support. I'm just going to say. But that's where my heart is helping people set goals and reach those goals, and accomplish what it is that they want to accomplish. For me, it's living an exceptional life. I want to be able to do the things I love to do with those I love. That's my big umbrella goal. And to be able to do that, I have to be healthy spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And there are a lot of things that we have to put into action to make that happen. So we have about 15 more minutes, and I would love if anybody would like to discuss some goals that they're thinking about for this year. If they would like any, just kind of walk through the process, I'm happy to do that during this time. Any questions about goals, any of that, I am here for you ladies.
Well, I have lots of goals. So I guess, like you said, putting them into smaller ones, because in the past, that was mine, was I would get discouraged because I wouldn't meet it, or I would lose some and then gain it, or because I wouldn't stick to it. So build it, what we've been talking about, all week, getting into those habits, because I know the habits will help get to the end,
Right.
get to where I want to go. And it's not like I was laughing at myself the other day, because I know, but you probably didn't realize it when you were a little kid, that I had like a 3-pound limit. If I gained 3 pounds, I either cut out sweets, pop, desserts, breads, and I could do that for 2 or 3 days and lose the 3 pounds. So I stayed at that weight. I stayed between 115 and 118 pounds. I never would even let myself get to the 120 pounds. Now I laugh, because to think that I, not laugh, but that seems very unrealistic. But and at my age, I probably don't need to weigh 120 pounds, because I'd probably look more like a skeleton. Which a lot of times pictures I look back, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I thought I was heavy and I was really skinny. But anyway, so just those 3 pounds, and setting those goals. But there was habits that I had, walking and exercising, And you and Paul were young, so we were always riding bikes or playing or swimming, going to the lake and doing all those things. So like you also said, doing things with the people you love, it's got where it's harder and harder to go to the lake. Our boat, I mean, a lot of people have a hard time getting in our boat because the way it's made in the ladder and stuff. But there's been times I thought, I can't jump out into the lake because I'm not sure I can get back up in the boat. And you know what I'm talking about. So it's not an easy boat to get into, but for years and years I was able to, and never thought I'm not going to jump in the water because I might not be able to get to the boat.
Right. So using that, the summer is how many months away, right? What would help you to be able to get into the boat? Yes, maybe losing some weight could help, but what else could help? And writing those things down, like, do your arms need to be stronger? Do your legs need to be stronger? What do you need to do to get your arms and legs stronger?
I'm laughing because I was thinking Jackie keeps saying we just need to get a new boat. Get a ramp like Ann's boat has. But anyway, but we don't really want to get a new boat, but yeah, strength training would be good because it does take a lot of upper body arm strength to pull yourself into the boat. And a new ladder would help, but we've looked for years and we can't seem to find a ladder to put on there. So, but the goal should be anyway to not find excuses to not get healthy or to lose the weight. So like I said, when Jackie just says, well, we'll just buy another boat, I'm saying, no, I want to be able to get in that boat. And if we ever do sell the boat, it's not going to be because I can't get it.
So is that motivation, inspiration enough for you to do strength training and to change your diet?
I think it is in the past. Like I said, if I talk to Jackie about it, he just says, and I'm not blaming it on Jackie, I'm just saying I do the same thing in my head, find another excuse. So I have to learn not to find excuses and for it to be in the summertime. But the good thing is I have that many months to get into it. So, and the boat is out in the backyard, so I could go climb in and out of the boat. It's not nearly as hard from the ground as it is when you're, down in the water and it's up so high. But
right. So like you just said, there's two things I heard you say. One is it's far enough that you can make some progress between now and then to be able to do it this summer. But then I also heard it's far enough that it may not be that much motivating because you're not getting in and out of it right now. So you don't have that spark, right? So what else would strength training help you with right now, like in a week or two, if you were a little bit stronger than you are today? Is there something right now that you would like to be able to do that's difficult because you're not strong enough?
Well, I just get tired. I mean, just like I'm putting up the Christmas decorations, and then it's getting where just like standing and cooking with this keto diet is a lot more standing, and I've been noticing a lot more back pain and leg pain just from having to stand for longer lengths of time. So it would help with that. But yeah, I know I'm pretty weak picking up hard. I just try not to pick up anything very heavy because being concerned it's going to hurt my back, and then I'm down in my back, and so then you can't exercise or do anything if you're
right.
down your back.
So that's what happens to a lot of people a lot of times is, we buy a new boat so we don't have to climb up into the boat that I'm not strong enough to get in anymore. Or we don't pick up the stuff, we have somebody else do it, or we take time and do very little, right? Instead of doing the action to allow us to be able to do it. So that's a mindset change that has to occur on what is going to motivate and inspire me enough to pick up the weights and do strength training 3 times a week, every day, whatever it is you decide to do, so that I'm stronger. Are you motivated enough to become stronger to accomplish those things? Or do you want the easy way? Because a lot of us want the easy button, gonna go there, right? Like there's a lot of us that would rather have the easy button, but we also know where the easy button leads us to. If we don't use it, we lose it, right? So sometimes that's where the fear comes in, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. Are you willing for the other side of that? Are you willing that if you aren't doing the strength training and getting stronger, you are going to continue to get weaker until the fact that you're not able to cook, you're not able to get into the boat, you're not able to get to wherever it is you're wanting to go because you don't have the energy or the strength to do it. Right. Sometimes if the motivation, and y'all, this is my mom, she's heard this probably from me before, but I want y'all all to hear. There's this beautiful picture over here of being able to get into that boat that's 6 months away that sounds really, really good right now. But if it's not enough to motivate me, sometimes I have to look over here at that if I don't start doing something right now, this is what life's going to look like. And that's not what I want. So on Tuesday, when we were talking about motivation, what motivates you? Does a reward motivate you? And is that reward long-term reward or like, I want the reward right here, right now, instant gratification? Because if you are an instant gratification kind of reward person, setting a goal for 5 months ahead is probably not going to motivate you every day. You might need to set shorter goals because you need instant gratification. Okay. If you're a fear-based, if we went through motivation, you're like, oh yeah, when I get scared, I am motivated to do this. Then what do you need to put into effect that you are looking at what things are going to look like if I don't make a change every single day? Okay. So that's where really finding what motivates you is going to play a part. And you may have to play with the motivation. If you're like, well, I said I was going to do strength training 3 times this week and I didn't do any. Your motivation or your goal wasn't the right thing for you. Right. Okay. Does that help everybody? That instead of giving up on yourself, it's okay to change your direction, or at least your focus of what you're looking at. If you're like, oh, I'm going to strength train so I can get in and out of the boat, but my husband might buy a new boat, or that's 5 months and I'll exercise next week. That's not enough motivation this week. If I don't have enough strength to cook, then nobody's going to be healthy. I got to do my strength training just so I can cook this week. Okay. So look at that. We can talk more about it. You can schedule an appointment. Okay. But I want y'all to think about what is going to motivate you. Think about those different motivations. There was a third one. I don't have my piece of paper in here. There was fear-based, reward-based. My mind went blank on the third one. Anyway, that's not important. I have notes. Hopefully y'all took notes, and we have a video, but those are the 2 that's popping in my head right now. So same thing about inspiration. Remember, maybe we need to connect some music to it. If you know that you're more likely to exercise to music, then let that be your first step. I'm going to pick out the music I'm going to listen to this next week while I exercise. And if that's all you do, guess what? You get to check it off. You took a step closer to strength training. You got your music picked out. Then pick out what you're going to lift to increase the strength. Okay. It might take you 3 weeks to actually, but you're taking the steps, and that's something that sometimes people forget. So we think we have to do the whole thing right now. I need to do strength training 3 times a week starting today. Maybe you need some preparation. I share in the 2022 weight loss strategy guide. Before my kitchen was ready for me to go to the grocery store and buy healthy foods, I needed to clean out my refrigerator and my freezer. That part of the process is just as important as the grocery store process. And going to the grocery store process is just as important as the cooking process. And the cooking process is just as important as the food going into my mouth to help me reach my goal. I can tell you, I was much more motivated to go to the grocery store after I cleaned out the refrigerator and the freezer. Okay. You're going to maybe be more motivated or inspired to do your strength training if you have the music already picked out that you're going to use. It's not a wasted step. It's a step that's going to help you reach your goal.
Okay. Yeah, doing the diet plan and grocery, like what you're talking about yesterday, I'm definitely going to start doing that, because I mean, I always make a grocery list before I go to the store, but I don't really sit down and plan a menu. So that will be a good, that's on my list, a good start to make sure we have the right foods in the house. So, and we're not bringing the bad stuff in. So,
yeah. And it'll save on, I mean, like we have some extra stuff. I don't even know if I'm going to the grocery store tomorrow because I've got some meals I'm going to make today and tomorrow still. And we've got some extra food in there. So I'm going to go through and see what all we have before I, decide when I need to go to the grocery store. Because here's the thing, when we have food, then certain foods go to waste because we make choices on these other foods, right? So we're going to eat up the food that we have that's healthy for us, right? My family, I mean, I was thinking about you, Alicia, yesterday after I made my fruit bowl. My daughter was eating. She had made herself she used some of my leftover soup from the day before and she added some ramen noodles in it. And I don't know, she had some spicy stuff in it because she just kept saying how spicy it was. But one of the things that she said when she saw my bowl is, she's like, oh, that reminds me of when we went to Florida and we had these acai bowls and they were so good. They were full of fruit and stuff. Only thing that was missing in mine was the acai, like, it's not ice cream, but whatever mixture it is, frozen fruit mixture in it. And y'all, I'm serious. Like I was enjoying every piece of fruit, every nut, every seed that was in this bowl. It was my celebration. But she said, I would never think to take the time to put all that in my bowl. She's good about maybe going and having some grapes or cutting up a couple of strawberries or something. I had made it on Sunday when I had gone to the grocery store and rinsed everything off and put it in a jar. It's like, what, 5 days later, I picked up the jar, I put it in a bowl. I threw the walnuts on it. It was done. It was ready. It was beautiful. And it was delicious. All because of the work I had done on Sunday. So I asked her, I said, well, do you want me to make you one of those if I do it that again? And she said, oh, yes, please. Okay. My daughter loves sweets just like me and my mom. All of us girls have this in common, right? But she also likes to eat healthy foods. She just would not have taken the time to do it. And so, Alicia, I was thinking of you that, one of the things that your love language is to make these foods for your family, right? What if you could treat them with something beautiful from God's creation, right? That's healthy for them, healthy for you, and still let you be creative.
Yep.
And then you can share it with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's our past experiences, just like me. The word celebration has been cake and ice cream, right? That's just been attached to it. Yesterday, while I was eating my bowl, that's what I want to be attached to celebration. Right? Celebration does not have to be something that's not healthy for me. Why can't it be a big bowl of beautiful fruit? I was a little concerned that the carbs would be a little too high after having that big bowl of fruit this morning. I got on the scale. I'm a year younger and I lost 0.6 pounds, y'all, or 0.8. I can't remember, 0.6 or 0.8. I was super excited. Next week, I can promise you there's going to be some jars of fruit bowl in my refrigerator, ready for me at least one day, if not two, but one for me and one for my daughter, right? Think about how you can be motivated, inspired on a daily basis to reach your goal. And then set a goal and know that I like to call it a dynamic goal. Goals can change. If you have a goal to accomplish something in 10 weeks and it's week 3 and you haven't done any action steps to get there, it is the wrong goal for you. It is not working in your favor. Ask yourself, why am I not motivated? Why am I not inspired to do what I said I wanted to do if this is really the transformation that I want? And then y'all, I'm going to be honest, if you're finding on a daily basis that you just don't have it within you, your body is at a stress state, and you've got to lower that stress so that you are motivated to reach a goal. Anxiety and depression are real. Okay. If you are not taking action, then there are some steps that you may need to take, which can be a goal. For me, last year, it was meditation. For me to get to an emotional place that I could handle the stress that happens on a hiking of 5.5 hours. I needed to be able to handle that stress. I needed to be able to know how to focus on the here and now, right now, because all I used to focus on is where everybody else is, or at the end, or I'm supposed to be there in a certain amount of time, or I'm supposed to catch up. That is looking forward, or we're looking back. What I learned at meditating last year was to focus on the here and now, right this moment. And I did my hike step by step, moment by moment. That's how I got through it. And it was glorious. Now, the next day wasn't necessarily glorious, but the moment was glorious. But if I hadn't taken that goal of meditation, I don't know that I would have met the hiking goal of a good attitude. I would have pushed myself, and I would have done the physical part of it. I had done things like that before. Much more stronger physically than emotionally. Okay. I had to work on that part. So if you find that you're not motivated, there may be some steps you need to take to get to that place that your body's not so stressed out, what we call the free state, and that you can actually put the action into action. And that's something that we talk about in our Exceptional Health Masterclass. And it takes time and it takes work. We have to put the work in. So I just want to thank you, ladies, whether you're watching live right now, Rose and Alicia and Patty and Mom, or if you're watching this replay, thank you for joining me this week and Fill My Cup. I hope that your cup is filling up, that you're ready for that next step. Tomorrow, I'm just going to do a short Fill My Cup of Rest, where I'm going to talk a little bit more about meditation, like I was just talking about right now, on how that can help serve us, especially on a day of rest at 10 a.m. It'll be short and sweet. And then when I get this replay and send the email, I sent an email earlier, and I guess it didn't go through, or it's going to come through some other time. I sent it again when Patty let me know that she didn't get her email. Thank you so much, Patty. But I have on there my Calendly. And like I said, after I get off of here, I'm going to work on that to see if I can open up the days. If not, the next email will just have you to contact me and we'll set up a time together. It's just easier instead of us playing back and forth, where you can just click a button to set. But if for some reason my Calendly is locked for January forever, I don't know, then we will pivot and we'll figure out another answer. I've never had that happen. Usually I just push a calendar and put my times on there, but it won't let me push the button until the following week. So I love technology. It serves me in so many wonderful ways until it doesn't. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday. I'm going to go do some cleaning after I figure out my Calendly and make some veggie soup. So I hope y'all enjoy your day. Love you, ladies.
Bye.